Becca and Lizzie here. If you watched us last week with Farmer Amy, welcome back. And if you're new here, a big hello.
We also need to say a big hello to a very special guest. Say, Erin. Hi, Farmer Erin. Come on, guys, have a bigger wave than that. Let's say hi to Farmer Erin.
We visited Farmer Erin and travelled to her farm in Wales. We wanted to see what she does as her job.
So watch the video and make sure you ask lots of questions. We'll be getting all of your questions through to our phones and we'll be able to ask Erin those live.
We're Becca and Lizzie. I'm Becca and I'm Lizzie, and today we're on a farm in Wales visiting a very exciting young farmer. Now this young farmer has 300 sheep and also her trusty sidekick called Theo. Can you guess what animal Theo is? Sounds like some of you may have got that right. Shall we find out? Look who we found. It's Farmer Erin and Theo. That's right, you guessed it. Theo's a sheepdog.
Hi, I'm Farmer Erin, and on our farm we keep sheep. They produce wool and meat.
That sounds really interesting, but how did you get into farming?
So I've been farming ever since I was a young girl. I always had that passion, but I love being in the outdoors and being with the animals. I'm so excited to show you around my farm and see what we get up to every day.
Let's go.
These are my sheep.
And so, Erin, what breed are these and why are they kept inside?
They are blue-faced Leicesters, and they're kept inside because their wool is much finer than other breeds of sheep. So this means they don't like the harsh weather.
That's really interesting. So what do they eat inside?
So inside they eat hay. They've also got clean, fresh bedding under them. And also it's important that they have fresh water to drink.
And do you have any other sheep?
Yes, we have other sheep, but they are kept outside because they can cope with the harsh weather better. Me and Theo stick together, and Theo helps me to move the sheep.
How does he do that, Erin?
Theo knows two commands, which is come by and away. Come by means to go to the left, and away means to go to the right.
I think we should say away to Theo and see what happens. I don't think Theo can hear you. Shall we say it again, louder?
Away. Here, Theo. Stanley, come by. Come by. Stanley, come by. Stanley. Cut, stand. Cut, stand. Stop there, Theo, stop there. Here, that'll do. Here, Theo. That'll do. Here, Theo, that'll do. Oh, Theo, that'll do.
Wow, well wasn't it fascinating to see Farmer Erin and Theo get those sheep into a pen just using Erin's voice and a whistle? Now that we've got them up close, what breed are they?
These are Hebridean sheep and they're much hardier, so this means they can cope with the harsh weather better.
And so we've seen the sheep now, but is there anything that you're doing on the farm for the planet?
Yes, I'll show you.
So Farmer Erin, what's so special about this field we're in now?
This field has been grass for over 100 years.
100 years? But how does that help the planet?
Grass and land like this is really good at absorbing carbon from the atmosphere.
Wow, so that means whilst farmers are producing food off this land, it's also helping the environment too. Well, it's been a really busy day on the farm. Shall we say thank you to Farmer Erin?
Thanks, Farmer Erin.
It's been a great day. Thank you so much for helping me with my jobs.
Don't forget, if you have any questions for Erin, you'll be able to ask them very soon. But for now, it's bye from us. Bye. Welcome back. It was great seeing Theo and Erin on farm. Do any of you have dogs at home? Put your hand up if you have a dog at home. Well, that's a lot of us who do. Great to see.
Absolutely. And we've also had a lot of questions whilst we've been watching that video. So Lizzie, can you kick us off with our first question for Farmer Erin?
Well, Becca, we have had a lot of questions, but the first one, Farmer Erin, is what age do you begin training a sheepdog?
That's a great question. So the training begins when the dog is 1 year old, and the training lasts for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, the dog will know the voice commands and also the whistle commands. Can you whistle?
We'll give it a go.
That's brilliant. Can you whistle?
We can't hear you. A little bit louder. Wow, can you hear everybody whistling?
I think we might have some sheepdog trainers among us.
Well, Becca, do we have any other questions?
We do, and this is a good one because we saw Farmer Erin get those sheep into the pen with Theo. But is it difficult to round up the sheep?
Yes, it can be difficult because sheep can sometimes be very wild. But with patience and with a dog like Theo listening to me with every command, then we can get them quietly into the pen without no stress.
Amazing. So we have another question here that says, why do some sheep have horns?
Oh, that's a good question. So we've got different breeds of sheep, and different breeds have different characteristics. So that's why sheep have got horns, or maybe they've got black wool. It's just different characteristics.
I guess it's kind of like people. I have blonde hair, you have blonde hair, Becca has brunette. It's different people.
It just depends.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. So this is another good one from Rafaela. How many lambs can a sheep have? And I assume it maybe depends a bit like humans.
Yes, but it can vary. A sheep can have 1 lamb, it could have 2 lambs, it could have 3 lambs, and sometimes, but quite rare, it can have 4 lambs.
That's amazing.
Wow.
4 lambs. Crazy.
So we've got another fantastic question here, and this is from Anna. And Anna says, does it hurt the sheep when you shave the wool off?
No, not at all. Shearing is an essential job in the farming calendar. So in the summer, when it's hot and the sheep can get quite sweaty and warm with the heavy fleece on, so that's why we use clippers, exactly like we use to cut our hair. We use clippers to shear the wool very carefully off the sheep's body. And the people, the farmers that do shear the sheep are trained and they're professional and they know what position the sheep needs to be in to make the process as comfy as possible.
I think that's a really good point, isn't it? That you're doing it basically so that the sheep is happy over the summer.
I guess it's like having a sweater on when you're really, really warm in the sunshine. So being able to take that off is great.
Absolutely. So we have another question from Skylar, and we saw a little bit in the video about the sheep eating hay, but she's asked what do they eat? So do they eat other things as well?
Yes, so as well as hay, sheep also eat grass. And this is the main diet really. So when the sheep are out in the fields, they're eating grass. But in the winter, grass doesn't grow as well. And that's why we give them hay. And hay is basically dried grass that we collect in the summer and store until the winter. So that's why they eat hay. They can also eat grass. And also another option is to feed them like pellets, like little sweets, basically, and this will also be a good supplement for grass.
It sounds like they get very spoiled. Lizzie, what's our next question?
So we've got a question here from Zubair. So thank you for sending that in. And the question is, do you kill the sheep for food?
So yes, sheep are used for meat. It's farming. It's a process because we all need food to eat, and lamb is a very, very nutritious meat for us to eat. But as a farmer, I know when the sheep's on my farm that I've cared for it really, really well. I know I followed it through the journey. So ultimately, I feel happy, and I look forward for somebody to be eating this quality meat.
Absolutely. And some of your fields, are sheep the only thing that you can keep on those fields?
Yes, because in North Wales we've got a very rough and rugged terrain with a lot of hills, and we can't get no tractors on the land. It's impossible. So the only thing we can produce off the land is meat. So sheep graze this land to be able to produce as meat. But yes, we can't produce crops because the tractors just can't get on the land.
That's really interesting. This is a good question. How long have you been a sheepdog handler? Because I know it takes time to train the dogs, but surely you have to learn too.
Yeah, so I'm the fourth generation now to be training sheepdogs. And my very earliest memories are being with little puppies and playing with the puppies. And yes, it's very happy memories. So I've always seen the process of rearing dogs and then training them. So I followed in my family's footsteps, and I've learnt from my family how to do it. But they're also very good sheepdog trainers that are willing to give people lessons as well. So it's totally accessible for anybody who has a sheepdog to learn. But I must say that it does take some time to learn how to train a dog. You have to know what you're doing, because sheep and dogs can be hard to handle sometimes.
Definitely, minds of their own.
Yes.
So we've got a very interesting question here from Lindsay Meadow Primary. So why do you love animals so much?
Oh, that's a great question. I suppose it's a question of why am I a farmer? Well, it's because I love to look after the animals. I can follow them through the journey, through the farming calendar. So in the farming calendars, we've got different jobs. We've got shearing, as we mentioned. We've got the lambing, where we're bringing new life into the world. So it's a very exciting life to be able to see and to be able to bring new life into the world and follow the process throughout.
Amazing. We've had a question from Gordon Primary, and they've asked, how old is your youngest sheep on the farm?
Ah, well, if you ask me in a few weeks, I will say that we have some newborns, but they haven't arrived yet. So at the moment, the youngest sheep are 1 year old. But as I say, next week we'll have some newborns. The sheep will be lambing, so then I can say that they're just born.
Wow, that would be amazing. So we've had the same question twice from Joseph's the Worker Primary School and also Frankie in Year 2. And they want to know, how old is Theo?
So Theo is 6 years old now. So he began his training when he was 1, and he was fully trained when he was 3. So he's 3 years into the job, as you could say. But Theo will work until he's 10 years old. So yes, he's got some years to go. But when he does retire, he'll have the best life in the house in front of the fire and can be dreaming all day about sheep. But yes, I'm sure he's looking forward for the retirement soon.
Oh, and this is another question about sheepdogs.
Yeah.
Do they come in different colours? Because we did see sheep which were different colours in that video, didn't we? But can sheepdogs be different as well?
Yes, there are different breeds of sheepdog, but we keep collies, and collies are usually black, white, and some have a bit of tan colour. And they also, the coat varies. So Theo had a long coat, as you noticed, but you can get some dogs or some collies that have a shorter coat. But as well as collies, you've got the Kelpies, which are another breed of sheepdogs, or the Welsh sheepdogs. There's many different breeds of sheepdogs, so that's why, yeah, it can vary.
Wow, there's so much to learn about sheepdogs.
It's great. So we've got another fantastic question, Becca. So Esh Winning Primary have said, we are reading The Sheep Pig at the moment and loving it. Well, big well done to the primary school for reading that book. That's
Well
amazing. And they've said, is it difficult to look after 300 sheep? Could you look after more?
Well, yes, it is difficult. There's a lot of work involved in making sure that the sheep are happy and fed. So yes, it is difficult, but we have the potential to keep more, but it's just making sure that we have the time to be able to give each sheep all the care it needs.
That's definitely good to know that you're keeping all your sheep happy, even though you've got 300 of them. We've had a question from Gordon Primary. Do you have a favourite sheep?
Oh, good question.
Yes, I shouldn't have favourites because I love them all the same, but I have one favourite and she's called Beatrice.
Oh, what a fantastic name.
Yes, and Beatrice will be lambing soon, so hopefully we'll have some mini Beatrice soon.
Oh, amazing. So speaking of animals on your farm, we've had a question here that says, do you keep other animals on your farm as well as sheep?
Good question. So as well as sheep, we also have goats, and we milk the goats, and the milk is a great nutritious milk, and we use the milk to be able to feed the little puppies we get.
Oh, wow.
And also to feed the pet lambs. So it's a great way of using up milk. And we also keep cattle. So we keep cattle for beef, and we buy calves from a dairy farm when they are 3 months old, and then the calves grow to be 12 months, and then we sell them on to another farmer to then be fattened and then to be used for meat.
Wow, so you definitely have lots on your farm, not just sheep. Although, going back to the sheep, we have a question about the wool. Do you keep it or do you give it to other people?
So we sell our wool, but unfortunately, the price of wool is very, very low, and it doesn't. If we pay the shearer, so this is the person who shears the sheep, and we have to pay him, but the price we get for the wool after is a lot lower. So in fact, we have to pay a lot more to shear them, and the wool isn't worth as much, but still we sell it, and it's then used to make lovely jumpers or carpets, and it's such a fantastic product that hopefully one day it will be recognised.
Well, if you're interested more in wool and shearing sheep, you can watch the NFU live lesson in British Science Week, and it's going to be focusing all on wool, and you might even see a sheep being shorn as well.
Well, I'll definitely be tuning in for that. So we've had a very interesting question, and it sounds like the children have all been listening very well to the video. So, do the blue-faced sheep only live inside? Can they go out in the summer?
Yes, they can go out in the summer, because as you could see, their wool was very fine. So we shear them, and then they can go out to enjoy the sun and not be too hot. But then when the winter comes and the weather gets a bit colder, then they want to come in because they haven't got that protection that other breeds have, because their wool is a lot more fine. So that's why I keep them in the winter. But even though they are in, they receive a good diet, they have fresh water, so they're very much happy inside.
So we've got a question about Theo now, and I think he was the star of the show, to be honest. But has he won any championships or competitions?
Yes, so in the summer, me and Theo and my other dogs, we go around competitions, and these are called sheepdog trials. So on the weekend, there'll be a sheepdog trial in a certain area. And I'm not sure if you've seen a sheepdog trial before.
I have done, and it seems very complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So basically, what the aim is to get the dog to go around the sheep, gather them down to you, and then the dog and the sheep have to go round the course. And the course includes a lot of hurdles. So you have to make sure that you get the sheep through the hurdles and then into a pen.
Wow.
And it can be very challenging. It isn't easy. So that's the sheepdog trial. And yes, Theo has had a few successes.
Wow.
Well done, Theo.
Yeah, well, we could tell when we were watching that video that he definitely knows what he's doing.
So we've had another great question, and it is, where do you put the baby sheep when they're born? I think it's great to say that baby sheep are called lambs.
Yes, so yeah, baby sheep are called lambs, and we lamb indoors because in Wales we get quite rough weather in around lambing time. So to protect the lambs, we do lamb indoors for the first half of lambing, but we have also got sheep who are later lambing, who won't be lambing until April, and by April the weather would be better and they can go outside. So it's all a matter about keeping an eye on the weather and seeing when it's suitable to put the lambs out. But of course, when the lambs do go out, we keep such a close eye on them, and if anything isn't feeling too well, then we'll treat it and bring it back into the shed.
Well, that is a really, really good question. And again, it just shows that all the lambs and all the sheep are looked after from the moment they're born. This is another question about lambs being born, and it's from Alia in year 2. And she's asked, can mummy sheep, so we would call those ewes, can they only give birth in spring, or can they give birth in another season?
What a fantastic question.
Really good question, because I would say we usually only see lambs outside in spring, but are there other times?
So it depends on the breed. Again, we go back to that different breeds have different characteristics and they're all different, but mostly you'll see sheep lambing in March or April, maybe a bit earlier, but there are breeds of sheep that lamb twice in a year. Like, is it the Dorsets?
I think so.
Yes. We don't keep Dorsets personally, so I'm not too sure exactly, but I know the Welsh mountain sheep we keep and the Texel Cross sheep we keep, which are names of 2 different breeds, they lamb in March and April.
Whereas Becca, you lamb at home, don't you? You have baby sheep.
That's right.
And you do yours in the winter time.
That's right. So our sheep, they're a bit of a different breed, and we lamb ours now. So we're having baby lambs at home as we speak.
Well, I love visiting to see the baby lambs. They're great.
Definitely.
So Eshwin in primary says, we've got more on lambs here. Do you get many twins with sheep or triplets?
So mostly it'll be twins or maybe singles. Triplets are rare, and as I said, quads, like she's a 4, are even rarer, but you do get some. So yeah, it varies, but twins are definitely the most common.
And I think that will be the same with our sheep as well. Most of ours have twin lambs. We've had a really good question from Beach Hill School, and they've asked, what food is poisonous to sheep? And I think this is a really important one to keep in mind if you're walking around the countryside and there's sheep in the fields.
So as I said, the diet of a sheep is mainly grass, hay, and a few special nuts. So sheep won't really venture far from those 3 things. So that's why if they're in a field and the farmers put them in the field, then they'll mostly eat grass. And there isn't much in the field that will be poisonous for them.
Interesting. I've heard that acorns aren't very good for them sometimes, are they?
Yes, acorns can be disastrous for them, in fact. But luckily, if the farmer controls and makes sure that the sheep don't go near acorns, then it's fine.
Brilliant. So we've got another question here. So do you need to cut their nails?
Question.
Very good question.
Yes. So exactly like our nails grow, sheep nails grow, but we call them hooves. That's the name. But because sheep live outdoors, they are treading down their hooves all the time, so we don't need to cut them. But sometimes some of them can grow very fast and it isn't treaded down, so that's why we will use like scissors just to trim them a little bit, just to make sure that the sheep is comfortable to walk.
Is that like when we clip our nails?
Yes, exactly so.
So it doesn't hurt the sheep at all?
No, it doesn't at all. It means that she's more balanced on the floor because you can't have one nail or hoof that's bigger than the other. So when they're all balanced, then she's happy and content and can walk okay.
Oh, that sounds really, really good. This is another question on Theo. Does he work during the night or does he work at other different times?
Oh, good question. So lambing time, I'll be out with the ewes checking them throughout the night. So yes, Theo will have to work a night shift when it's lambing time. But usually, normally in the summer, winter and other months, Theo will be able to sleep at night and he'll be only working in the day.
Wow, we've had so many more questions come through.
We have.
So I think this one is a fantastic question. What do the sheepdogs eat? Is it normal dog food?
Yes, so normal dog food, we want to make sure that the dog food is high in energy, so it's got a high protein level to make sure that the dogs have enough energy to run. And also our dogs get some treats on their food. So as well as a normal dog food, they have an egg because the egg helps to keep the coat really shiny. So they have an egg and sometimes some salmon oil we put on the food as well, because salmon oil is really great for the bones of the dogs. So if the dog has been working really, really hard, salmon oil is great to keep the bones healthy and flexible.
It sounds like they get more food than we do. We've got another question from Gordon Primary. Do you have other people working on the farm, or is it just your family working there?
So yeah, it's just my family working on the farm. As I said, we've got 300 sheep and it's a manageable number for me to be able to keep. So we don't need to employ anybody else. But there are some farms that do employ people, especially lambing time. Because lambing time is such a busy time of year, we need a lot more help. So yes, if you have an interest in farming, lambing time would be a great start to be able to ask for a job with a farmer, because most farmers would be looking for extra help.
And I think there's a lot of farms out there where you can go in and maybe feed the lambs or see the lambs as they're growing up. So maybe have a look around your area too. So we've got another great question here, and that is, why did you become a farmer?
So I was brought up on the farm, and having seen my granddad farming and my mum farming, I knew that was the sort of thing I wanted to do. So that's what I did. I knew it was hard work because farmers have to be out in all sorts of weather. So last week it was snowing and I was cold, but still I think the love you have for the animals and the love you have for food, because we're producing nutritious food for everybody to eat, those two things are my passion. So that's why I wanted to be a farmer, to be able to give people the food, the nutritious food they like to eat.
Great. Well, I think we have time for one more question, don't you, Becca?
Yes, and we've had this one a couple of times, and I think it might be a bit of a tricky one. But it's from here, Beth in year 1. And she's asked, how fast can sheep run?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm not sure in terms to compare the speed with a car. I'm not sure, but I know a sheep can run very, very fast. Definitely faster than me.
Luckily, Theo can keep up with them.
Yes.
Well, that's all we've got time for with our questions. They have been fantastic this week. I think they just keep getting better and better. I think we should say a big thank you to Farmer Erin for being here and giving up her time to answer all the questions.
Thank you, Farmer Erin. We hope to see you all back next week, where we'll be taking a little look at robots.
That sounds very exciting. Well, if you've got any pictures from today of watching the webinar, we'd love to see them. Please can you tag NFU Education?
We hope you have a great weekend, but for now, it's bye from us.